Welcome to the Insider Edition of the Upland Nation podcast. I'm Scott Linden, your host. Thanks for joining me. We'll be traveling to, well, the boonies, but near Nebo, Illinois, on this issue because we are exploring the inside operations of a hunting lodge. You know, when I talk to you in the surveys, I ask you all sorts of questions, including, were you or will you be going to a lodge? And most of you said, yeah, in the next few years, I'll be going to a preserve or a lodge of one sort or another. So I thought maybe we could get some insider information from my friends at Heartland Lodge. Tim Duos, the new owner, and Zach Jumps, their communications guy, are joining me right there in the lodge to talk about all the business aspects of lodge operations, plus all the things that you could use in the way of information so that you get the most out of it. Sort of a buyer's guide to hunting lodges. It should be fun, it should be informative, and it should be very, very useful. The insider editions of the Upland Nation podcast are made possible by CableGangz Stakeout Systems, CableGangz.com, and Heartland Lodge, heartlandlodge.com, with additional support from MidValleyClays.com, TrueLockChokes.com, ProPlansport.com, that's Purina's dog food, SageAndBreaker.com, PointerShotguns.com, and High-Vis Sights. See what you've been missing. On location here at the Upland Nation Podcast Insider Edition, I'm Scott Linden. We are sitting in the conference room here at the Heartland Lodge near Nebo, Illinois. If you're a deer hunter, you know Pike County extremely well. We're down there. And believe me, the number of tracks I've seen, I understand why everybody's really worked up about it. It's a great place to be. Joining me from Heartland Lodge, we have Tim Duos and Zach Jumps. Tim, why don't you start us out? We're going to talk business to a great degree. Tell me a little bit about the background for Heartland Lodge and how you ended up here.
Okay. Well, Scott, the Heartland Lodge was started approximately 30 years ago and had been owned and operated by the Harpole family for that entire duration. And then about a year ago, I came about and purchased the lodge, and we have, as you know, approximately, I think, 44 rooms and spread out over 3 lodges, and actually 4 lodges, and then we have some private cabins, and we hunt approximately a little over 4,000 acres of land. I think It's around 4,400 acres that we're hunting now. So, yeah, that's where we are today.
Well, it's an incredible facility, and not just the buildings themselves, but the land, the habitat, the grounds that we have. I haven't been here in 10 years. That's when we made the last episodes of Wing Shooting USA here. But to come here at basically the very beginning of the season, when everything's still lush and green, and there's standing corn, it's right out of a painting by an American classicist or somebody like that. It's just beautiful. And if you're a bird hunter, you look at all that habitat and it just screams pheasants and quail.
Yeah, and that's something we work really hard at. And Zach has been here for a number of years, a lot longer than I, and that's something that a real emphasis has been put on, having the natural habitat for the birds to have a good environment for them, to make for a really strong hunt. So our focus is obviously to have the best possible hunting experience we can for our guests. And I'm really proud of the job that our guides do and the dogs, and we have a lot of fun doing it.
Well, and that's the key. It really is. You think about it. Why do people come to a hunting lodge? It's not because they have to come. It's because they want to come, and they have their ideas about what that means. And one of the things is habitat. They want it to look like all the places they read about in the magazines, for example. Zach, you're an integral part of telling that story. Why don't you, first off, move your microphone up just, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, oh, way better. And now just tell me your vision for this place and what you'd want to tell people about it and how you got here as well.
Yeah, so I think the vision is to, have a lodge where you can bring your family on a annual basis, make it a tradition. I think on the habitat side, it's such a great variety from cornfields to milo strips to more edge cover, early successional cover. One day you can be hunting a wide open CRP field, and the next day you can be hunting, woody ridges. So it's a great mix for quail and pheasant. But as far as how I got here, everyone knows Pike County's one of the top destinations for whitetail hunting, and I've always been a big whitetail hunter for since growing up. But so when I got the opportunity to guide out here, it was like a dream come true for a early 20-year-old kid. That's how I got my start.
So you come to a great degree. You come to this from a big game background, and you understand that aspect of things as well. And that's one of the things I'm going to ask you next. Most of my crowd knows this is a great bird hunting lodge. It's Orvis endorsed. It's in the Orvis, the electronic catalog now and that sort of thing. But there's a variety of other things to do. And Tim, you having a kind of a resort background, and then Zach with deer hunting in your background. Tell us a little bit about the other activities. For example, if somebody does want to bring a spouse or a family.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, first of all, I want to mention to you, you brought up Orvis, is that we had a meeting with Orvis about 6 months ago, and I informed Orvis, the representative from there, that it's our intention that within 2 years to become the Orvis Wing Shooting Lodge of the Year. And
you heard it here first.
Exactly. So I want the hunters to be prepared for that. They're going to be treated like celebrities because we have something to prove, and that's our mission. Everybody on our staff knows that we are going to be the Wing Shooting Lodge of the Year. So we're really excited about obtaining that goal. It's going to take us a couple of years, but we're well on our way. And so anyways, that's a little sidebar.
May I then just interject? Simply being Orvis endorsed is not... You don't just sign up for that.
No.
They have a pretty rigorous process to get to that point, don't they?
They really do. And in fact, that's what makes it so neat, is because when I told them what our plans were, they were very accommodating, and they've kind of given us the roadmap and the guidance in order to obtain this. And it obviously comes down to making sure that the guests have a great experience here. And so not only should the guests have a great hunt, but they should, the hospitality side of it has to be top notch.
Yeah.
And Orvis is very, very keen on making sure that we provide that. And so it's exciting. We're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And as I said, you come from effectively a resort background.
Correct.
And so there are many other things that you can do here at Heartland Lodge that maybe folks wouldn't normally expect from a, quote, bird hunting place, unquote. Tell us about some of those, and then we'll get into the business reasons for some of that.
Right. For example, we have a sporting clay course, and we also have a pistol range, and we're going to have a rifle range that we have one now, but honestly, it's going to be improved upon greatly in the near future. We do things such as in the summertime, we do have areas of the property that we use for ATV riding.
Sure.
We also have a couple of fishing holes, one in which our whitetail manager was telling me the other day that he has, I think his daughter is about 7 or 8 years old, and he takes her down there on weekends, and he's been pulling out 5 to 10 pound largemouth bass.
Oh, man.
Now, I went to verify this a couple weeks ago, and I didn't have that kind of luck, but I did have a couple of bites. But no, he swears by it, so it's kind of neat. So if people want to take a hike, and it's probably a good 15 or 20-minute hike down to the pond, or we'll if they're a guest here, we'll throw them the keys to an ATV and they can take that down there. I've got some fishing poles up in the office, and they're more than happy to go and see if they can snag a bass.
You know, a lot of times, about 25% of the people I survey who go to a lodge bring a spouse, and all of those things are there. You've got all the comforts of home as well. If you just want to sit and read a book, plenty of places to do that. Do you see much of that happening? Do you see more and more spouses coming on the hunting side?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. In fact, we see a lot of spouses and we see a lot of young kids, which is really encouraging. Yeah. I remember last fall, I was sitting having lunch, and the fellow across the table from me had his 13-year-old son with him. And earlier that morning, he had shot his first pheasant. And look, there's a duck calling me now.
Take him.
And I'll tell you something. It made my week. It was so cool to see the interaction. And and by the way, his grandfather was there as well. So it was really neat. So it is a family place. We do get a lot of spouses coming. Yeah. And incidentally, we had a wedding here this last weekend.
Sure.
Because it's such a picturesque place, and quite frankly, I'm going to put in a little plug for us on the hospitality side. The rooms in that are really, well, I'm proud of them. Let me put it that way.
I don't blame you, and I'll tell you a funny story about that. When we came here to make TV shows, my director, who runs the A camera as well, he should have been a stand-up comic. But there's no money in that, and I paid him really well, so he stuck with me instead. But I'm out chewing the fat before I even walk into the building, and he comes dashing out, kind of sidelong glances like this, and he takes me over to the side, and he says, "I can't possibly stay here. This place is too nice."
Yeah. There's some a little bit of history too. We get some history buff like Abe Lincoln, Mark Twain, or the Hannibal, Missouri is just 45 minutes away, so we get a lot of Mark Twain buffs.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. There's have you ever been to Hannibal before?
No.
Yeah, you'll have to go. You would like it, but there's some neat like small town shopping, especially in Pike County during the fall. There's a lot of fall festivals that the non-hunters like to enjoy.
Well, I was charmed on the way up. For those of us who live in the desert, driving upstream along the Missouri and the Illinois River, I mean, these are, to us, they're just moving lakes. They're so big. But to see, tugboats and barges on one side, and then the charming little towns along the way. Grafton comes to mind. I could spend a lot of time in that brewery.
That's a neat
but they're everything out in the Midwest, and even if one goes even further east, everything's older by at least 100 years than what we're used to in the West. So that's kind of cool as well. Mm-hmm. I want to talk to you, Zach, a little bit about the habitat. We talked about it a little, and as a whitetail hunter, you can appreciate all those big trees and all that wood out there. Mm-hmm. Just describe your kind of, if you have a strategy for managing habitat. We don't have to walk through that if we're chasing quail. We will once in a while, I bet, but most of the time, what are your guests looking for in the way of an expectation?
Yeah, I think when people think of Illinois upland hunting, they're thinking old fence rows, overgrown pastures. A lot of in Pike County specifically, there's a lot of old hog. Actually, Pike County used to be like the hog capital of Illinois or the Midwest, I guess. So there's a ton of overgrown hog lots.
Oh.
And great habitat.
Well fertilized.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, you'll run across these, what do you call them? Farrowing bins, or, these little, steel huts, just in the middle of the woods somewhere. And there'll be a 5 or 10 acre patch of those. And, quail love it. But, so yeah, you see, and especially in our area, the river bluffs, there's a lot of CRP, a lot of just old fallow fields.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, I hear it all the time, people come back to the lodge and say, that reminded me when I was, hunting with Grandpa 50 years ago. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. And that's kind of what, we try to simulate that kind of traditional upland hunting scenario.
Yeah. I love it. Hey, everybody, you're listening to the Upland Nation podcast, an insider edition, and in this case, an industry insider edition. I love talking business all the time. On my right, your left, in your stereo speakers, is Zach Jumps. And on my left, your right, is the owner of the place, Tim Duos. Tim, I can't go without asking you on the record, what the heck are you doing buying a hunting lodge?
I don't know. I'll just tell you, I think it started about 15 years ago when I was a member of the Venice Island Duck Club outside of Stockton, California.
Yeah, if you listened carefully, you could hear me playing the tuba from there.
Yeah, well, that's right. I heard about the tuba earlier. Yeah, so there were 10 of us that had this lodge up there, and the lodge, the Venice Island Lodge, they had quite a storied history to it. It was really rather neat, and the hunting experience up there was fabulous. But even better than the hunting were the stories that I heard at night after dinner. People had possibly had a cocktail or two, or maybe even three, and it made it. It was so enjoyable, and the friendships and the bonding with people, and it was just a delight. And honestly, and I used to bring my kids up there in the off season, and I guess after we left California, which was about 10 years ago, that's one thing I really missed about being out on the West Coast was our regular trips to the hunting lodge. And when I found out that the Heartland was for sale, and I came out and took a look, and I guess I was hooked. It's the bones of this place are fabulous. The personnel, I can't say enough good things about the staff we have here. They get it. They're here. They enjoy their work, and it's at least I think most of them enjoy their work.
Zach is nodding yes. By the way, you can't hear that.
But it's it just seemed like a good fit, and it just brings back a lot of memories. And now it's fun to see the guests that come in here, and for me to be able to provide, the environment to recreate what I enjoyed doing so much when I was, at the Venice Island Duck Club. It's just a real pleasure. It's really fun. It's not working, it really isn't. It's just making sure that people have an enjoyable hunt and some great, social discourse after the hunt. Over a nice meal and maybe a glass of wine or a can of beer.
Like you said, maybe 3 drinks.
Yeah.
And before I forget, you mentioned that Venice Island Duck Club, which I was probably chased out of a few times. There is waterfowl hunting here as well. I mean, we're talking about these giant rivers.
Yeah.
And there's some dry land stuff as well. We were talking with Cy earlier. But you have access to lots of great waterfowl hunting, and it's a part of the package as well, isn't it?
We're right in between the Mississippi River and the Illinois River, and Zach knows more about it than I. But
no, people love it. They can duck hunt in the morning, come back for lunch, and go pheasant hunting in the afternoon. It's kind of a unique, there's not a ton of lodges that offer that, so it's kind of a unique package.
Yeah, I'm remembering it, maybe at most 2 of all the lodges we've been to on television, and then just for fun, that offer that combination. And it's almost the same with the big game. There are very few that will offer both, but that strikes me as putting you guys apart from a lot of other operations. Zach, when you're on the marketing side and you're doing a lot of customer contact and you're effectively packaging this thing for public consumption sometimes, what is the end result? What do you want people to leave with from a marketing standpoint? What do you want them to tell their friends when they get home?
Yeah, I think ideally, I've been to places and with my family, and it's people are planning these 1, 2, 3 years, ahead of time. So it's really important. And I've been to places where sometimes they've dropped the ball, or you leave like, I don't know if I'll be back. But when you come to Heartland, we want that, just the entire experience from when you're on the website. Does the website work? Can you find what you're looking for? The expectations before you arrive. Then when you arrive, it's what you thought, and even better, hopefully. And then the follow up. So ideally, it's the entire experience from the kitchen to the guides, of course, the habitat. We just want it to be the best that there is. I think we have high expectations.
Yeah, and I think for them to, when people leave, they want to make it a tradition.
Yeah.
They want to come back year after year after year. And whether it's, we have 3 full-time chefs here that are the best of the best. I mean, you've experienced the food. It's absolutely fabulous. The servers are phenomenal. The housekeepers do a great job. I mean, the guides are some of the best in the country. Our guides, along with their dogs, they're well-trained, they're professionals. And so we need to, when our guests leave, I think, my goals, and there's no bigger compliment than when they say they'd like to rebook for next year.
Sure.
And they want to rebook for next year because they don't want to lose their spot. They want to make sure that that it's going to be available to them. And then when they tell their friends or neighbors or coworkers or what have you, that it's good business sense for us to do a phenomenal job for our guests, because we appreciate and we need the repeat business. That's an important part of the deal. The less money we have to spend on advertising, and the more money we can spend on creating a great experience for our guests, is what it's all about. That's what we're trying to accomplish.
And I won't take that personally. No, but you're absolutely right. It's you are to a large degree in the hospitality business, and that's how you get people to come back. There's a lot more we want to talk about. I want to, in the second half of this Insider podcast, I want to get some guidance from you experts on how we all should shop for a hunting lodge experience. What do we do? When do we do it? Advice on a consumer's guide to hunting lodge shopping and that sort of thing, and we'll get to that among other things coming up in the second half.
Well, that's going to be easy because they should just follow Scott Linden's recommendations.
Okay, you heard it here first, and you'll hear it a whole bunch more. Believe me. This is the Upland Nation Insider edition of the podcast. I'm Scott Linden. On my right is Zach Jumps. On my left is Tim Duos. They're from Heartland Lodge, and we'll be back on location with them in about a minute. We'll have more on all of the above and a few other things, I'm sure, as we carry on with the Upland Nation podcast, an Insider edition. Yeah, hope you're enjoying it so far and hope you're getting something out of it. This portion of the program brought to you by CableGangz. Yeah, and I know it's spelled a little different, so I'll help you. CableGangz.com. I had the chance to use my own CableGangz tie-out steak with Flick for quite a few things in the last few weeks, and was reminded again of how durable they are. Yeah, it's about the materials. It's about the way they engineer them and design them so that they last way longer than anything else on the market. Now, don't be fooled. There are imitators out there who have kind of borrowed some of the look But CableGangz has put in all the hard work and designed their tie-out stakes so that they will last a long time. From better materials to better engineering, the whole assembly process is different and better. You won't see that mushrooming on the top when you whack it with your 2-pound mallet several hundred times over the last couple of weeks. You won't see the swivel then be unable to swivel. There's a whole bunch of other reasons, including the choice of metals. So learn more about what they're doing over there and then get in on the 10% discount just for using the code CG10. Go to CableGangz.com. And welcome back to the Upland Nation podcast, Insider Edition. I love to talk business. As a business newspaper editor and publisher, I sure enjoyed learning more about the inner workings of all sorts of businesses. Like I said at lunch or dinner, whenever it was, from endive or endive, as they said in France when we were introducing that food product, to cellular telephones. People want to know more about this stuff, and here we are with two experts on the subject. Let's start with the guy who's probably going to have the most influence on you as a consumer. Zach, you're in the marketing world here, and as well as speaking the language, you're a hunter first and foremost. What's your overall advice for somebody who, besides listening to my shows and watching my TV, what would you suggest? How does somebody start a search for a hunting lodge experience?
Yeah, I think get on the phone, talk to the people, or call, get some references. It's so easy nowadays to create a website, and you can really, there's so much smoke and mirrors going on, I guess what I'm trying to say. But yeah, call them up, talk to the references, and just ask as many questions as you can. As far as on the lodging side, the meals, just ask as many as you can.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that first. You're absolutely right. I told you when we were driving around about my experience with that lodge that did not exist. So, don't believe the website completely, everybody. There's a lot to be said for personal references and talking to the human beings at the other end of the phone call. That's a great start. And then, Tim, you've been around the lodge business, if you will, for quite a while. What else would you add to that?
Honestly, I think if I were looking for a place to do some bird hunting, the first thing I would do is go to the Orvis website and check it out, because I'm really proud of the endorsement we have from Orvis, because it means something. It really does. They have high standards, and those standards have to be maintained. Yeah. And so I think that's a great place to start. And of course, I'm a little biased, but I would suggest that you only go to
there's a certain page on that website.
But and then I think what Zach said about especially word of mouth and references and things like that are important. And like saying, obviously, professionals like yourself who have been to a lot of you've had a lot of different hunting experiences, and I'm sure some have been better than others, and including the hospitality side, and so quite frankly, you're a great resource.
Well, thank you. You're very kind, and I'd like to think so. Yeah. And it's funny because when we look for television locations, the first place we look is to the Orvis page, because we can be assured of all the things that are important. And again, the guys who make those decisions at Orvis, they're bird hunters too. Yeah. So they're going to look first and foremost at what your bird hunting operation is like. What's the habitat, what the dogs like, what the birds are like, what the guides are like. So all of that enters into it. And by the way, just for the record, you've got another endorsement by Shooting Sportsman magazine. Now, a lot of us are new to that one. I remember when they first started that, but I've lost track of what that means and what they're doing for a lodge in that regard.
Yeah, it's similar to Orvis. I believe they have around 20, maybe 30 lodges across the country. And yeah, their standards are really similar to the Orvis program.
Great. So yet another endorsement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally and figuratively. Well, I want to just amplify one thing, and I'm glad you brought it up. You prompted this in me, Zach, and that is, there are no dumb questions. When I call Heartland Lodge or anybody else and I'm looking for information, I'm afraid, first off, I'm going to get a sales pitch. And that might end up happening no matter what. But I should be able to ask questions from how much to how many birds to what's the habitat like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The dumb questions that we're all afraid to ask. You don't mind those, do you?
No, not at all. I think we all like to know what the hunt is going to cost, and if there are any, additional expenses. One of my favorites is, when some lodges, for example, believe it or not, they'll charge once you shoot over a few birds in a day, they want to charge you for additional birds, things like that. You get nickel and dimed, and none of us appreciate that. And I'm proud to say we don't go down that path. You can shoot as many birds as you want. We want it to be just fun. We don't want people, once they come here, to be worrying about if they're going to be nickeled and dimed.
Yeah.
So no, you're absolutely right. There aren't any dumb questions, and quite frankly, I like to believe we're not going to give them a sales pitch as much as we want to educate them.
Yeah.
And so they can make a good decision.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say, we're not the cheapest lodge in the world, right? I mean, we're also not the most expensive, but I believe we create great value, and that's what it's about. We want to make sure that we charge enough so we can afford to put on the best show possible in every aspect of the business. We want to make sure that the pillows are comfortable, that the sheets are new and clean, and we want to make sure that if you have that everything works and the food is fabulous. So but we want to be very fair, and we want to provide great value, because that's going to bring people back.
Yeah.
So where we just want people to give us a try, so we have a chance to prove ourselves and show them what we can do. Yeah,
and you bring up something that you didn't say it, but you meant to say it. I'm sure that is there are no surprises when somebody shows up, and this is true. I consulted to Hilton hotels, and I did work in the hospitality industry as a whole. You want people's expectations to be met. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, that's great. I think and we're not so rigid where it's it's your hunt. So we want to customize it to if you bring your own dog, that's great. And we'll if you want to cover 1,000 acres, or we have some guys that want to just hard charge hunt the entire day, which is great. We have guides that'll do it, and then or you want to just go walk half a mile in the morning and half a mile in the afternoon. Maybe you're not worried about the number of birds you're killing. You're just you're just here for the hunt, and so we try to customize it for the hunter. It's not when you're here at the lodge, it's you're part of the club. So it's we try to make it more of a club feel rather than we're leaving at 9 o'clock. We're gonna drop you off at 11:30. Lunch is at noon. So I think people appreciate that too. Just from we can handle a wide variety of hunting personalities.
But there is, one thing a consumer appreciates once in a while is basically being told what to do for a couple days. I'm going to put myself in your hands, and you're going to help me enjoy this experience. So what is a typical day for a hunter or a group of hunters? Describe how that all works. We get up, we do this, then we do that, etc.
Yeah, so we always have breakfast at 8 a.m. And then we usually head to the field around 9 or 9:15. Come back for lunch. Lunch is always at noon. Sometimes, guys will come in at 11:30 or a little afternoon. And then we head back out around 2 o'clock and hunt until about 5 or 5:30, depending on daylight hours.
And then after the hunt, they're able to meet in a gathering place where they might want to knock down a couple of beers. In your case, maybe 3 or 4, Scott. And then
it's no secret.
And then so it's a great place to kick back and tell a few stories and maybe exaggerate a little bit, and then spend an hour and a half there and kind of a happy hour, some hors d'oeuvres, and then go back to the room and get cleaned up, and then run over to the main lodge for one of our famous dinners, and oftentimes the dinner will last a number of hours because somebody will bust open a bottle of wine or something, and it kind of goes from there. So.
It is structured informality. Maybe that's. By the way, I just made up that term.
I like it.
You can steal it.
Trademark.
Okay. Yeah, trademark it.
You mentioned something else that happens here, and I don't know what the chemical reaction is, and it happens at a lot of well-run hunting lodges, or somebody's own hunting camp, for that matter. But it's a chemical reaction to the surroundings, the group in the room, the people in the field, the staff. All of that turns into something more than the sum of its parts, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it. That's when you've succeeded. Is we can provide that environment for that to take place, and that's evidenced by the fact that people want to come back, because now you're talking about experiences and memories that last a lifetime, and that's what it's about, is having the memories.
Well, so we go out. Let's get practical here. We're going to go out. Whether we brought our own dogs. By the way, that new kennel facility is shaping up really well. We got our own dogs. We're going to hunt. A lot of people would prefer, for example, if you're flying out here and not bringing their dog, what should we tell the guide before we set foot in the field that will help us have the best experience?
Yeah, maybe if you're right or left-handed. Some guys,
or does it matter?
some guys, kind of like I mentioned earlier, they want to walk, 5 miles. They want to bust every covey they can, or others are a little more relaxed and they just want to watch the dogs work. Yeah. And that's probably the vast majority of our hunters. Yeah. I think maybe just your tempo. What's your ideal hunting scenario, and that's what we'll try to imitate.
And what can the guides do to make? Now I'm talking about consumer reports kind of suggestions. What can a guide do, or what should a guide do to make sure that you are having the maximal experience?
Yeah, I think just reading in between the lines, communicating, whether it's guiding's it's a tough job. You meet a wide variety of people, and so I think communication is that's key. And just sometimes we have older guys we'll take a side-by-side out to help them, after a few days, even the guides, or even me, after a few days of trudging through the fields, you start to get worn down. So we kind of adjust, and I think that's key for the guide to adjust to the client. And just kind of read in between the lines of, a lot of guys aren't going to say, hey, I'm getting tired, can we slow down? So if they're stopping, taking breaks more, or they're asking for water, just enjoy the hunt. It's not a race.
Yeah, and throughout the day communicating back and forth, and the guide, good guide, we forget that they are part psychologists too, and they have to read us and figure out how we're doing. And, granted, most of this is flat ground, but still, as you've said, there are times when you're just all in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about on the what I'll broadly call the hospitality side? Tim, can you kind of enlighten us as to what kind of minimal expectations for a lodge experience that we should have when we're shopping?
Okay, well, I'm going to, you mentioned at one point you did some work with Hilton Corporation, right? So here's a fellow that you may recognize, and I'm going to show you this picture in this book.
I recognize the guy in the middle already.
yeah, that's Baron Hilton, and Baron was one of the partners. He was one of the 9 other partners at the Venice Island Duck Club, right?
You've always had your hair like that, then, haven't you?
Yeah, it's always been like that.
And I just glommed onto it.
you got to go back about 40 years to see it any longer than that. So, but anyways, learned everything I know. From the Venice Island Duck Club. We had a great example.
Can you imagine being the staff at a place that's taking care of Baron Hilton?
Oh my word! Yeah, they did a great job, I tell you. But anyways, the expectations. I think people when they come to a lodge should expect, number one, to be obviously treated fairly and respectfully, and they should be we've got to treat others like, we hope to be treated. And we've got to recognize, hey, most of the people when they come here, in fact, all the people when they come here, they're here because they want to be here. They have a smile on their face. It's our job to make sure that, 3, 4, 5 days later when they leave, that their smile's even bigger. That's all. We just have to make sure that they enjoy themselves. So it really, and that's a fair expectation to have. Because people are coming here to enjoy themselves. They're paying money to do so. It's our responsibility to make sure it happens. And quite frankly, anything less than that wouldn't be fair to our guests.
Could I just interject again? Because I serve many masters, and as a consumer of lodge services, I would suggest that at any time we should make those expectations known. As well. I appreciate the golden rule. That's a great way to start any business relationship. But it's a two-way rule. And from the very beginning, when we make the phone calls, like you said, Zach, to when we arrive, to when we're out in the field or when we're sitting down at dinner, we could be civil about it. We need to be nice and respectful, like you said. But we as consumers need to make clear our expectations too, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Well, honestly, that makes it easier on our end, because then we can make sure that we check all those boxes.
Right.
But
One thing too, we do expect our hunters to leave a little bit heavier too.
Yeah,
maybe a few pounds extra.
As I said,
and they do.
Yes, they do. That's easy. We used to put on weight on every road trip. Yes.
We hear that a lot. In fact,
Well, I'm really interested in helping our listeners be better consumers of hunting lodges. Most of them have or will go on a trip. In terms of other parting advice, do you both have something to suggest in the way of how they could be I don't know what to call it, a more savvy shopper for hunting lodge experiences?
Yeah, I would say, look at the ownership maybe and see, is it Farmer Bob that's open 3 months out of the year? Make clear your expectations and realize, people that might, they're just doing it for a hobby or maybe it's a part-time gig. The expectation's not might not be as high as someone's doing it full time. That's their full focus.
Not that there's not room for that experience as well.
Yeah.
There's plenty of space on the spectrum for everything.
Right.
But if you're going to lay out hard dollars for your one big trip of the year, you better dig and dig deep. Tim, you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to mention that what Zach's saying is spot on, and the we are open year round, and I'll be honest, the reason why we do keep it open year round, because believe me, we're not making any money in the summertime. I can promise you that. But the reason we do it is that we're so happy with our staff, and we want to make sure that the guest service is the best of the best. And when it comes to, like the chefs, we have to make sure they have to eat year round, right? So they need employment. So we want to make sure.
So they need to cook year round.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
We want to make sure that the people that we have here are professionals. They're really, really good at what they do. The guides are really, really good at what they do. Their dogs are pros. These dogs, it's really fun watching them work the field, because you'll see, one pointer going and lock in on a bird, and then the other pointer, its partner, will come and, lock in with it and honor the point, and then they bring in the flusher, and the lab will run, and boom, next thing you know, you hear people pulling the trigger, and sometimes you see a bird fall down too.
You've not seen me shoot.
Yeah. I haven't seen you knock down a bird yet, Scott. Yet. But I think that's going to change tomorrow.
I hope so. I brought my shooting glasses for what it's worth.
Okay.
Just don't give me a shotgun with a bent barrel. No. I'll run out of excuses. That's all good. And we're back to this expectation thing. And one of the biggest, most nerve-wracking subjects for everybody is, Jesus, it's the end of the day or it's the end of the hunt. How do I tip my guide? And it's different everywhere. We know that. And we know that the amount changes in various ways for various reasons. But generally speaking, you guided, Zach, and you talk with your guides every day. What is a reasonable tip for one day of bird hunting with a pro guide who's got a string of dogs, got to train them all year, got to feed them all year, got to come from who knows how far away? They got overhead. Mm-hmm. They get paid, but much like a server in a restaurant, tips are the difference between in the black and in the red. How much?
I usually tell people 10 to 20%
of whatever they paid for the day.
Yeah. And it's base it on their experience. If they had a great time, they never complain about getting a big tip. So you don't have to worry about over tipping them. But 10 to 20% is usually what we say. Just a blanket.
Good. We all feel better. A little bit of guidance from a guy who gets those things.
Yeah, that's better than a customer may give them a tip as to, buy low, sell high.
Don't take wooden nickels.
Right. But, it's interesting because some of the guides, who have their return guests year after year after year, and they really get excited when they know that, Tom is coming into town again, and they're fired up because they know he tips well. And I tell you, these guides, they work hard. They really do.
I know.
And I will say, I don't think a lot of people bring knives. Leave the knives at home. We
don't need more knives, everybody.
Every guide has a stack of knives at home. They could... maybe if it's like a collector's knife or a signature, Scott Linden knife or something.
Right. That'll be the always dull and with the tip broken off. But you do bring up a good point. And in Africa, this is a big deal. You do a safari in Africa and you leave your rifle with the guy who guided you or something like that. Are there any other appropriate guide gifts, not counting knives, which they have plenty of?
We see a lot of bourbon.
Yeah.
They always appreciate that. We have had a few hunters leave their shotgun.
Wow.
That's been pretty far and few between, but Christmas gift,
Sure.
they love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just a gas card or whatever.
Yeah.
Just a Christmas card. Yeah.
Great. Well, Tim, you get the last. You're the owner. You get the last word here on Heartland Lodge shopping in general. What parting advice do you have for us?
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this. This has been terrific. We really appreciate it, and
You're welcome.
I hope that I hope that your listeners, we'd love to have the opportunity to show them what we can do and make them part of our family, and hopefully it will turn into an annual event for them and their friends or family, No, we just we love what we do, and we want to share it with as many people as we can, and we look forward to making some new friends.
Well, that's Tim Duos. He's I'll call him the new owner at I was going to say Harpole's Heartland Lodge. That's what it was. Now it's just Heartland Lodge. We'll just call it Duos' Heartland Lodge for now. Relatively new and really doing some exciting things. Zach, same to you. You're in a relatively new role and really handling it well. This is the Heartland Lodge. I'm Scott Linden, and that's the conclusion to our Upland Nation Insider podcast. Well, thank you to Tim and Zach at Heartland Lodge. I hope everybody learned something about the operations, how they work, and maybe became a better consumer as a result of that. Thank you all for listening. If you tell one person about this podcast, you'll be doing everybody a big favor. Don't you think they want to know what you know? If you comment at the social platforms, all the better. And if you left a rating or a review at Apple Podcasts, extra kibble in your bowl tonight. We are made possible by CableGangz Stakeout Systems and Heartland Lodge, with additional support from Mid-Valley Clays, TrueLock Choke Tubes, Purina Pro Plan Sport Dog Food, and Sage and Breaker Gun Care Products, Pointer Shotguns, and High-Vis Sights. Well, this has been another Insider edition of the Upland Nation podcast. I'm Scott Linden. Thanks for listening.